Welcome to the Silicon Fox podcast, where we explore the habits and stories of high performers. Join us as we dive into their journeys, analyze live blood tests, and break down the science behind key biomarkers to help you optimize your health. I'm your host, Mitchell Eschner, an ex-pro soccer player, a current sponsored hybrid athlete, a health tech founder, and a longevity enthusiast. Today we're going to talk about melatonin. Most people know melatonin as the so-called sleep hormone, or maybe just as a pill you can pick up at the drugstore to help you fall asleep faster. But that's not the full picture. Melatonin is involved not only in regulating our circadian rhythm, but also in protecting our mitochondria, reducing oxidative stress, and potentially influencing aging and longevity. At the same time, the way people are supplementing with melatonin, whether it's how much, how often, and why, raises serious questions about long-term safety, proper dosing, and whether we may be actually disrupting the very rhythms melatonin is meant to regulate. So today, we're going to unpack melatonin from multiple angles: the biology, the evidence, the controversies, and most importantly, the practical takeaways you can use to guide your own decisions about whether melatonin supplementation is right for you. Melatonin is secreted primarily by the pineal gland, a small structure located deep in the brain. The pineal gland sits just behind the third ventricle, and its main function is to release melatonin in response to changes in light and dark. Light exposure to the eyes sends signals through a pathway called retinohypothalamic tract to the SCN, the body's master circadian clock. From there, signals reach the pineal gland and regulate the release of melatonin. As daylight fades in the evening, melatonin secretion rises. This rise is called the dim light melatonin onset, or DLMO, and it's one of the strongest signals that the body uses to initiate sleep. Levels then remain high throughout the night and fall again in the morning when light is detected. But here's what many people don't realize. Melatonin isn't only produced by the pineal gland. It's also synthesized in the tissues, including the gut and importantly mitochondria. Inside the mitochondria, melatonin acts as a potent antioxidant, neutralizing free radicals and reducing oxidative stress. This dual role, both as a timekeeper and as a cellular protector, makes melatonin uniquely fascinating in the context of health and longevity. Let's go deeper into these roles. First, as a circadian regulator, melatonin works as a signal of darkness. It doesn't put you to sleep in the way a sedative might, but it lowers the threshold for sleep by synchronizing the brain and body to nighttime physiology. That means body temperature drops, cortisol levels decline, and metabolic processes shift toward rest and recovery. Second, melatonin as an antioxidant. Free radicals, or reactive oxygen species, are constantly being generated in the body, especially during mitochondrial respiration, the process by which we produce energy. If left unchecked, these molecules can damage proteins, DNA, and cell membranes. Melatonin is both a direct scavenger of these radicals and an indirect booster of the body's own antioxidant defenses. It stimulates enzymes like the superoxide dismutase and glutathione peroxidase, which play a crucial role in reducing oxidative stress. Third, melatonin appears to regulate apoptosis, the process of programmed cell death. In healthy tissues, apoptosis helps remove damaged or dysfunctional cells. Melatonin seems to support this balance, reducing excessive apoptosis in situations like neurodegeneration, while promoting it in cancerous or precancerous cells. That dual action has made melatonin a candidate for research in neurodegenerative diseases and oncology. Finally, melatonin levels change with age. Production peaks in early childhood and declines steadily in adulthood. By the time people reach their 60s or 70s, melatonin output is often dramatically reduced. This decline has been proposed as one reason why older adults experience more fragmented sleep, higher oxidative stress, and increased susceptibility to diseases of aging. The strongest evidence for melatonin's benefits is in sleep and circadian rhythm disorders. A 2013 meta-analysis found that melatonin supplementation shortened sleep onset latency, that is, the time that it takes to fall asleep, by an average of 7 minutes, and improved overall sleep quality in people with insomnia and other sleep difficulties. For conditions like delayed sleep phase syndrome, melatonin has been particularly effective at shifting circadian timing. There's also evidence for melatonin in jet lag and shift work. Taking melatonin at the right time can help realign the circadian rhythm, reducing symptoms like fatigue, insomnia, and reduced alertness. But beyond sleep, melatonin's potential roles are broader. Animal studies suggest that melatonin can protect neurons from damage, improve mitochondrial efficiency, and even slow the accumulation of proteins linked to Alzheimer's disease. In humans, small clinical trials and observational studies have hinted at cognitive benefits, mood improvements, though large randomized control trials are still lacking. Another area of interest is mitochondrial function. Research shows that melatonin supplementation can reduce markers of oxidative stress and improve mitochondrial activity in certain patient populations, such as those with metabolic syndrome. The theory is that reducing oxidative damage, melatonin could preserve mitochondrial integrity, a key factor in aging and degenerative diseases. So the case for melatonin as more of a sleep hormone is strong, but much of it remains preliminary. There's a lot of debates regarding the safety of melatonin supplementation. The first issue is long-term safety. In the US, melatonin is sold as a dietary supplement, meaning it's not subject to the same rigorous regulation as prescription drugs. People often take it nightly for months or even years, and usually a dose is far higher than the body naturally produces. So is this safe? Well, a 2023 study reviewed by Givler and colleagues concluded that melatonin at low moderate doses, around 5 to 6 milligrams or less per day, appears to be safe for long-term use, with no consistent evidence of serious adverse effects. On the other hand, a separate 2023 study published in eClinical Medicine found that while melatonin wasn't linked to serious harm, it did increase the risk of non-serious side effects such as headaches, dizziness, and next-day grogginess. Another controversy includes dosing and timing. The body produces melatonin in microgram amounts, thousands of a milligram, yet many supplements on the market contain 3, 5, or even 10 milligrams per pill. That's thousands of times the physiological dose. High doses may cause phase shifts, pushing the circadian rhythm forward or backward, leading to unintended consequences like feeling jet lagged or groggy during the day. There are also questions about hormonal effects. Some animal studies suggest that melatonin could influence reproductive hormones, raising concerns about use in children and adolescents. While human data is less clear, most experts recommend caution in younger populations. Are you a health coach or running a health course and looking to level up your client's experience? With Cyphox Health's at-home blood test, you can deliver lab-quality blood work right to your client's door. Seamlessly ship samples back for fast and actionable results. Personalize every consult with the data that matters. Clients who complete a Cyphox test are 60% more likely to enroll in a paid program after their consult compared to those who only join a sales call. If you're ready to give your clients the edge, go to cyphoxhealth.com/partner. And as a Silicon Fox podcast listener, enjoy 10% off your first bulk order. Finally, there's the issue of supplement quality. A 2017 study analyzed melatonin supplements from various manufacturers and found that actual content ranged from 83% less to nearly 500% more than what was listed on the label. Some products also contain serotonin, a completely different neurotransmitter. This lack of standardization makes it difficult to know exactly what dose you're getting. So what should you actually do with this information? Well, first, understand that melatonin is a tool, not a cure-all. It works best when used for specific situations, circadian rhythm disorders, jet lag, or difficulty initiating sleep. It's not meant to be a nightly vitamin for everyone. Secondly, dose matters. Research suggests that very low doses, 300 micrograms or even less, can be effective. Higher doses may be appropriate in clinical contexts, but for most healthy adults, more is not better. And third, timing matters just as much as the dose. For sleep initiation, melatonin is usually taken 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. For circadian rhythm adjustments, such as delayed sleep phase disorder, the time can be several hours earlier and should be guided by a clinician. Fourth, focus on natural melatonin regulation first. Morning sunlight exposure helps anchor the circadian clock, while dimming lights in the evening promotes natural melatonin release. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin, so limiting exposure before bed can be effective as taking a pill. Finally, if you're going to choose the supplement, choose products from reputable brands that test for purity and potency. Looking ahead, research on melatonin is moving beyond sleep. Scientists are studying its role in aging, neurodegeneration, cancer prevention, and metabolic disease. But we need large, long-term trials in humans to know whether these are promising results from animal studies can translate into real clinical benefits. We also need more research on mitochondrial melatonin, how it's produced locally within cells, and how supplementation interacts with that system. This could open up an entirely new therapeutic strategy for age-related diseases. And finally, we need better regulation and standardization of supplements. Without reliable dosing, it's nearly impossible for clinicians or patients to apply the research effectively. So melatonin is much more than just a sleep aid. It's a hormone, an antioxidant, and possibly a longevity molecule. But it's also a double-edged sword, helpful in some contexts, potentially disruptive in others. The takeaway is this: melatonin should be used strategically. Keep doses low, timing consistent, and always prioritize natural light exposure and healthy habits first. Supplements can help, but they never should replace the fundamentals. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you've gained some insight into this hormone. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe and share with others who might benefit. And as always, I encourage you to take charge of your health by staying informed and being proactive about your body signals. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on the Silicon Fox podcast.